So, I want to take you on a journey right now to Antarctica. I want to take you there and try to experience things that I've experienced while being in Antarctica. So this talk is kind of like a journey from getting there, why do you go there, what do you do there, and then what's the science about. So it's not just about science, and it's about how cool Antarctica actually is, and how awesome it is to be able to go there and do some science, to bring back all this information to students. So what I'd like you to do is to imagine that it's your second night in Antarctica, and you're sleeping, and all of a sudden, you wake up because something happens. You wake up, you open your eyes, and your head is shaking. And it's bright because it's 24 hours of daylight. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're thinking, what am I doing here? I'm going to die tomorrow. What's going on? If you want to face Antarctica and maybe become a glaciologist or a scientist, a marine biologist or anything like that, you need to face Antarctica. And it starts with the wind, which is absolutely mental. And so this is inside the tent at 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up for the first time, when you see all that things happening, you're going, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So this is the Fuchs Foundation Antarctic Expedition. The expedition happened in November 2010. This talk here, it's almost a combination of a 3-year project where we got selected as science teachers to go to Antarctica, do some science experiments, and then bring back the results and go around schools spreading the word about polar scientists and how cool Antarctica is and why it's so important for us. And we went to this place called the Ellsworth Mountains, which I'll show you later on or where it is. So this is all the people that sponsored us, thank you. And the Fuchs Foundation is a charity founded by this guy called Sir Vivian Fuchs, a bit of background. And he was the first guy to lead a group of people across the Antarctic in 1956. And now Sir Ranulph Fiennes, I don't know if you've heard, he's going across Antarctica during winter, which is going to be absolutely mental, 24 hours of daylight, minus 70, minus 80 degrees. So who knows what's going to happen then. But anyway, the charity was relaunched in 2005 by his son, who then promoted science teachers and geography teachers to come in and take them out of their comfort zones and bring them back into classrooms. That was the whole idea of the charity and how it got selected. So a bit of background about Antarctica so we know what's going on. So the Antarctic Treaty from 1961, only used for peaceful purposes. You cannot declare war on anything in Antarctica. There's a freedom of scientific investigation and cooperation. All the work that's done in Antarctica has to be freely available to everyone. And there's a website where you can find all the research for Antarctica. And this guy here is a glaciologist. He goes, drill some ice, melt some ice, look at some graphs, and make some money. How cool is that? You know, I'd love to be a glaciologist. Territorial claims are frozen, which means that you can't just go and put a flag in Antarctica and say, hey, it's mine now, because you've got all these different people claiming different bits of Antarctica, and some countries claiming the same bit, so they just said it belongs to no one. And so I wonder what's going to happen when it all melts in a few hundred years, but we'll see. And nuclear materials are banned. You cannot take any nuclear materials to Antarctica. Treaty covers an area of south 60 degrees latitude, which is all this area here. It's absolutely gigantic. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 3 times the size of Latin America. So it's absolutely huge. And of course, the environmental life is meant to be protected. Penguins go around marching and saying, get out of here. Not many penguins in Antarctica, as you would think. They live off the coast, and we didn't see any animals because we were right on land. I'll show you where we were. So, are you awake? It's question time for you right now. You have to know this question. What's the coldest temperature ever achieved in Antarctica and recorded? Is it A minus 10, B minus 74, C minus 89, minus 98, minus 107? What do you reckon? 107. Oh, there's a good guess, but a bit too high. minus 89.2 at Vostok. Vostok is a Russian station in the middle of nowhere, and it's also where they found a subterranean, or subglacial, I should say, a lake of fresh water. And they are digging right now and going to see if they can find life in there. That's pretty awesome. So, who are these people? Who are these teachers they decided to go in? Who are they? Well, this is Tim Meyer, and Tim is a head of physics. He's a rugby enthusiast, about this height, this big, and he took a shower in Antarctica for some reason. So there's some pictures on the interwebs of him naked in Antarctica, but I can't show you. He liked Crispo and Zuko's Antarctica light, yes, I love that as well, and you'll see later on what it means. Disliked the wet bag. What might be the wet bag? And his Antarctica status, so we walk 500 miles today. Now there's a reason for that. There's a reason why I want to show you these people. Because if you go to Antarctica, you're facing isolation for a very long time. And you need people to help you get through tough times. And Tim is one of those people. He is always cheerful, always getting people to go where we don't want to go. We are tired, Tim, come on, we can do this, man, we can. And we just go, pack our bags and just go. So Tim, very, very important person. And he looks a bit dodgy now with all his Antarctic gear, but that's Tim there with a clean face. You can see how nice he is. And Lindsay, who's our chemistry teacher, rock climbing enthusiast, and she was the Antarctic Scrabble champion, she beat everyone. And she disliked dried fruit for some reason. We took lots of dried fruit, she loved it. And Lisa's tent rules, I'll show you Lisa later on. So, also very important, how do you deal with people when you sleep in the same tent for a long time? People you've barely met. So also something you need to think about when you want to go to Antarctica. And of course, her status, this tent smells. For some reason, the girls' tent was very smelly. And that's Lindsay there. She was next to Tim in their photos. And Lisa, she's a primary science teacher. She's about, Lindsay's about this big, she's 6 feet. And Lisa is about this big, and she's tiny. And she's a puppet enthusiast. She teaches science through puppets for primary school to your children. And she likes fish pie. Do you like fish pie? No. Who likes fish pie? Yeah, he likes fish pie. Well, let's see then if you like the Antarctic fish pie, which I brought here for you today. So, it is astronaut food, dehydrated food, which we take to Antarctica. And because it's very high in calories, I'll talk more about that later on how much food you need to eat. So I'll pass this around, you're going to have a whiff. Don't eat it though. What's the problem if you eat dehydrated food? What will happen inside? It will, and then what's going to happen? It will swell up, and it will give you a lot of bad indigestion. Not very good indigestion. And I've also brought here a good shepherd's pie, which you also have. You know, nice astronaut food. So it's kind of like we are astronauts on Earth, really. You know, because we have to wear all this gear and we have to eat all this crazy food to be able to go there. And of course, porridge and dried food, not very good. And what would Lindsay do? And this is Lisa with her advent calendar. She loved her advent calendar. And Ricky is the specialist science puppet. He's a professional puppet, and he's a science teaching assistant. He was helping Lisa all the way through this. And the official puppet, first official puppet to South Pole is a possibility. We've tried to claim that. And he likes, and he did not feel any cold for some reason. He being transported in the bag wasn't very nice for him. He didn't like that. And his status was, what problem am I solving today? He did all the science work for us. Well, for Lisa especially. Lisa, she had a science blog where all the information were given to students of primary science. So we had 2 expedition leaders. Carolyn Bailey, she just like Carl Socks, and that's Carl over there. She's also very big. He lives in Norway, has an expedition company. Was the second youngest person to reach the South Pole, and he works in Greenland and in Antarctica. So he lives on ice all the time. That's what he likes to do. And he just likes moaning teachers, because we moan a lot, because we always complain. And that's me. I used to be a head of physics, and I'm a physics song enthusiast, but I can't sing. But anyway. I've got a YouTube channel that has some physics songs in it, which I sing. And I tried to teach students through that, make it a bit more fun. And I dropped a water bottle down one of the hills in Antarctica, and that's the story I want to tell, because it's not if you want to go there and do science, you've got to face other problems. We climbed a mountain to measure some ultraviolet radiation, and my bag was accidentally left open, and when I leaned down, my bottle just fell down in the mountain. And Antarctic, you can't litter in Antarctica. So our guide had to go all the way down to pick it up. There was an hour on top of a mountain, -40, wind rushing, and we're there waiting because we couldn't go. We got our wait because she went to the other side. We had to go climb down the other side, so we had to wait for her up there. And it really, really has an impact on who you are and in your mind. You've got to be really prepared to face these things when you get all your buddies there waiting in the cold with you, and you've got to just do something. And that meant that the same day, when I was cooking some food, I almost cut off my thumb because, not paying attention, your mind is playing up with that. And what you do, you've got to be ready for it. And that's a proof of my thumb being cut. It was quite a nasty, it doesn't look it, but it's quite a nasty cut. Because it cut into the knives we took to Antarctica was quite sharp. And I also like Whisper Zuko. Takes down routine, also very important. Having a routine in Antarctica is very important. We had to go, we were pulling sleds, 100 kilograms. You reach a destination, the snow is too soft, you've got to start getting your shovel, you start digging on the snow, then you pitch your tent, and it's not finished because you've got to dig around the tent, put the snow to cover all the way around, because of the wind doesn't blow, as you see. So it's nice and tight. Let's start on the floor. We've got to go inside the tent. You've got to dig inside the tent so you can actually sit down inside the tent to cook your food and do stuff like that. So if you don't do that, then your life in Antarctica is hell. And it took about an hour to do that. When it was windy, we had about 4 people to pitch one tent. So it can take, there were 6 of us traveling there. So it's very, very important. So that's the team. And so where did we go? So I want to show you where we went. So this is a map of Antarctica, as you can see. You want to come in? Are you sure? Okay, it's a nice talk. See you there. Seem to be enjoying it. Okay. So, and that's the place where we went. It's called the Ellsworth Mountains. And the nice thing about the Ellsworth Mountains is a quite recent range of mountains. This is the Andes here, and the Andes run perpendicular to the Ellsworth Mountain. And that means that this whole range is much, much newer than this range of mountains here due to different movements of the rock and the ice. Oh, a long, long time ago. So this is one of the only area photographs of the place where we went to. And if you want to go to Antarctica, you need to be able to read maps. We want there to do some science. The question now becomes, where do we go to do our science? What kind of science do we want to do? Now, some people are trying to look for lichens. Some people are trying to look for pieces of rock within the frozen ice. So we need to know where to go. So what I'd like you to do is talk to the person next to you, in front of you, or behind you. See if you can identify 6 different features just by looking at a photograph. Because if you want to go there and you want to do some science, you need to kind of figure out where you want to go. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to talk to the person behind you, in front of you. Can you identify 6 features? Some are easy, some not so easy. Off you go.